Impeachment 2.0 goes again throughout yesterday. It is all that you expect and more, including going after the people who dared to go into the Capitol building, and nothing really against Trump from what I've heard. Just basically trying to pin him with all the people that tried to storm into the building. So we will talk a bit about that. Also, some amendments get proposed to see what could go into the next stimulus and what could get blocked, and all the amendments get blocked as well, so we'll talk a bit about that. The Wall Street Journal comes out to say that the CDC now says you must wear 2 masks. So we'll talk a bit about that. And Twitter is out saying that Trump is gone forever. They're never going to let him back, even if he runs for president again. I'm not sure how that goes on the public square rules, but hey, it's Twitter, and they can run their company how they want. You know, a private company and all. It's going to be all this and more. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. We have got some stuff to get to today, and a couple of other things to just pick up and clean up too, as long as we're standing here talking about this and seeing what's going on. First and foremost, I found this out yesterday. Restream, the program which I run to all the other streams through, as of yesterday, it seems they can pull Trovo chat in. I have not found a way to get the rest of your chat out to Trovo, so we can't converse backwards. But if you make a message in Trovo, I can see it on the Restream robot that I keep up, so I can keep up with all your chat. So it looks like they are getting to a point where they're getting ready to fix the problem, get everything set up, and get it in so we can converse with Trovo the same as everybody else. So that's something to look forward to. That's kind of nice. I like that. That was almost the thing that I liked today. But yeah, if you're over on Trovo and watching, if you put the message in, everyone else is going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to see their responses, but everyone else is going to be able to see it. And we'll work this weekend on seeing if we can get that going both ways again. Because if it goes one way, there's definitely a way to make it go the other. So that's exciting. That's something to look forward to. We can come back and talk about that for a little bit here. All right. Other news. I got to call my little friend John out over from the Generational Gap because John keeps coming up and saying, "Oh, well, I don't know if Freedom Scoop is back up yet or not. I'm gonna have to go check that." Well, if John watched Contemporary, he would be seeing what you guys over on the Big Six are seeing, and those of you on Instagram aren't seeing, but are hearing me talk about. But if you were over on the Big Six, you would see that, yes, as of right now, freedomscoop.com is still in coming soon phase. So you can go ahead and bookmark freedomscoop.com, where we gather all of our website together. And until then, you can go follow all my friends who will also be broadcasting on the Freedom Scoop Network: the Generational Gap, the R-Rated Conservative, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the Freckles and Brit Show, and the Daily Ignoramus. They're all still our friends. They're all going to be coming back onto the website as soon as we get it back up, plus a bunch of other new stuff. So go ahead and hit that bookmark, get in there. And once again, those of you over on Instagram, if you hit the link that is in my bio and the Instagram side, you can see what is on the screen behind me right now too. I can't transmit through that through the phone. I'm not sure why, but you can also get in the live chat with everybody else, because I can't get that live chat to come into the Big Six either. All right, that's enough of selling the wares here. We got to get right into this. Coming into the Dow Jones, looking at what we saw yesterday, it went up, but it went up very, very little. It went up 61.97 points. It had a fairly significant drop-off early in the morning, about, 10:30 my time, 11:30 most of your time. It had a fairly significant drop. Then it climbed back up in a V-shaped recovery. And then it just kind of stumbled out through the rest of the day as well, coming back out and closing just a touch above the top. So you can go and check that out, see what's going on with that there. We'll talk a bit about what the investors have to say with that. Looking at the Bitcoin is at $48,163.50. So we see what's going on with that. It's been on a pretty steady climb once again. Went back down a little bit yesterday, back up to 40,000 or 48,000 once again. So we will see what happens with that. If you can't hold it or mold it, well, you should still be holding it. Isn't that how that goes with Bitcoin? Everybody should have your Bitcoin at this point because it looks like they're going to try and run the fiat currency into nothing. Now, of course, all the people in the government are saying, oh, well, we don't have to worry about inflation. We'll talk about that with CNBC in just a bit here. That's what they're saying. Oh, inflation? Pfft, we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, we do have to worry about that. So we'll talk a bit about that. Let's see what IBD has to say. It's the perfect match, you guys. IBD digital plus weekly print. 2 months for only $14. Become a member. That's going to be a hard no for me. Although as much as I read their articles, I actually probably should throw them a couple bucks. You know, maybe, maybe not. All right, let's see what we got here. Dow Jones futures signal market rally as Tilray climax stocks aren't finished. Bitcoin hits record high. The bull case for Tesla. From Ed Carson. The Dow Jones futures rose modestly Thursday morning, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures. The stock market rally wobbled Wednesday but narrowly closed, mixed at record highs. The NASDAQ remains somewhat extended, while climax-type stocks Tilray, Futu Holdings, Digital Turbine, EXP World Holdings, and X1 were big movers on Wednesday. Tesla fell significantly Wednesday as Bitcoin retreated, but could the electric vehicle maker be in the early stages of creating a new buying opportunity? As for the Bitcoin price, it fell modestly on Wednesday, but on Thursday rallied again to all-time highs. Bitcoin spiked Monday on Tesla's disclosure that it had bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Meanwhile, Nvidia stood out once again, shrugging off the stock market rally's intraday retreat. After months of lackluster action and one-day pops, Nvidia stock seems to be making a more meaningful move, clearing a flat base on Wednesday. Uber, a tax software maker, Avalara, Spirit Airlines, real estate info play Zillow, and pet insurer Trupanion were among notable earnings reports. Yeti, Generac, and Temper Safely were early Thursday reports. I wonder where Yeti went because, people are starting to look back and say, I might go back to work today. I better get me a new coffee cup. And you got to wonder if they're actually going out and getting them there a new coffee cup. So we'll see what happens with that. But we see also people are changing out their beds because they've been sleeping on them forever. And Zillow, people are buying houses. We'll see where that goes. We'll see what happens with that. All right. As far as big moves for wild stocks, a growing number of stocks are showing climax-type runs. On Wednesday, Tilray skyrocketed 51% to $63.91 in a massive volume as Reddit investors rush into cannabis stock. Tilray stock is now 117% above its 10-day moving average. Traditionally, 20% was a sign that the stock was likely to have a pullback. In the current market, 40% or more has often been a trigger, but Tilray stock was still rising sharply early Thursday. Hong Kong brokerage Futu rallied 7% to 165.24, but came way off an intraday high of 204.25. It's 36% above its 10-day line. Meanwhile, EXPI stock tumbled 15% to 136.34, nearing its 10-day line intraday. APPS stock sank 30.5%, while X1 stock skidded 16.5%. Futu stock jumped while EXP, World 1, and X1 were up solidly in the pre-market. Tesla stock and Nvidia are on the IBD leaderboard. Nvidia is also on Swing Trader. For the futures, Dow futures were 0.2% above fair value, S&P 500 futures climbed 0.35%, and NASDAQ 100 futures rose 0.5%. Tesla and Nvidia stock helped buoy NASDAQ futures. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. All right, that's what we have on that. Let's see what CNBC has to say for that. Dow ekes out record closing high as tame inflation soothes investor concern. If you think we're going to have tame inflation coming in with another $1.9 trillion stimulus package, I have got oceanfront property in Wisconsin that I want to sell you. Let's see what Yoon Lee and Maggie Fitzgerald have to say about that. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed slightly to a record on Wednesday as investors digested a new batch of corporate earnings as well as data showing subdued inflation. Bullshit. The 30 stock benchmark finished the volatile session 61.97 points higher, or 0.2%, to a record closing high of 31,437.80. At its low of the day, the blue chip average fell 150 points. The S&P 500 dipped less than 0.1% to 3909.88, while the Nasdaq Composite slid 0.3% to 13,972.53 as Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple all suffered losses. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq both touched all-time highs during the session. The U.S. consumer price rose 0.3% in January, matching expectations from economists polled by Dow Jones. The core consumer price index, which excludes volatile food and energy costs, was unchanged last month. One of the concerns is that inflation will start to take hold due to such small monetary and fiscal stimuli, which will cause the Treasury and the Fed to intervene, said Keith Buchanan, senior portfolio manager at Globalt. Any news indicates that inflation will be lower for longer will delay that potential reaction to pull some of the stimulus back. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said Wednesday monetary policy needs to stay patiently accommodative to support the economy that still faces challenges in the labor market. The employment picture is a long way from where it needs to be, the central bank chief told the Economic Club of New York. So, that's what we're seeing there, and yeah, they say that there's not going to be inflation. They're out of their fucking minds. I'm sorry. Between trying to jack the minimum wage, throwing more stimulus around, chasing more jobs out of the economy, once they jack the minimum wage, money printer go burr. That's all that I have to say about that. All right, let's get into the news of the day. Let's talk about the pillory. All right, starting with, of course, we're going to start with NPR. Danger to lawmakers. Republican reaction. Takeaways from impeachment trial day 2. Even under the evil orange man being both evil and orange. We're still going to talk calmly like this because we are NPR. If we raise our voice for just a second, we might break these fancy microphones. And remember, give us money because your taxpayer dollars aren't enough for us here. This is from Deirdre Walsh. House impeachment managers had senators riveted Wednesday to disturbing new security camera video that showed just how close the rioters that breached the U.S. Capitol came to lawmakers in the House and Senate chambers. Wednesday's images from several angles outside the chambers and in hallways outside leadership offices showed one Capitol officer run past Utah semi-pretend Republican Senator Mitt Romney and direct him to turn around and run as rioters were closing in on that location just off the Senate floor. Ominously, the video showed staffers for the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi move to hide behind a door in what is typically a secure office suite that minutes later was overrun by a mob that repeatedly tried to break down that same door. Wednesday was the first of 2 days for the 9 managers to present their case. After they finish on Thursday, the floor turns to Trump's defense. One by one, the impeachment managers have been methodically recreating a timeline, the most sinister timeline, the evil timeline. They went back months to try to show that former President Trump not only incited rioters at the rally on January 6th, but he laid the foundation to sow doubt in the outcome of the election that led to violence. Horrible, horrible violence. They argued that Trump repeatedly claimed any loss on November 3rd meant the election was rigged in rallies, tweets, and speeches, and that he knew those who organized and attended the rally backed his effort to stop the steal. The House members walked through how the various failed efforts to undermine the elections, including pushing state officials to overturn the results, legal challenges, and other attempts at intimidation. Trump was left with the focus of the day Congress met to count and certify the election results. You know, they really need to stop with the quiet microphones when they make an article like this and actually get the dude that does the movie previews for this. In a world where the president sowed discord and a bunch of people stormed the Capitol, could the president be the mastermind behind the whole thing? Find out next June in Impeachment 2.0. The peach is in. Lead manager Representative Jamie Raskin asserted that Trump was no innocent bystander and that he surrendered his role as commander-in-chief and became the insider-in-chief. He told them to fight like hell, and they brought us hell that day, Raskin said. Managers previewed that they planned to share video and audio clips that had not been previously released. The edited video montage that aired on Tuesday was jarring in that it reminded lawmakers of what it was like that day, but the images revealed Wednesday showed how much worse it could have been. Delegate Stacey Plaskett from the Virgin Islands used a graphic of the Capitol building showing the layout of the Senate and House chambers alongside the new security video showing where and how insurrectionists crashed through the windows and doors using bats and flags not far from the Senate chamber. She noted one member of the right-wing group, the Proud Boys, was among those leading the breach. Plaskett also played audio of police calling for backup and declaring the scene a riot, as they reported many in the mob had weapons and bear spray. The images and timeline revealed how the crowd moved quickly to overrun those U.S. Capitol Police in key areas throughout the building, and in one case just 100 feet or so from where then Vice President Mike Pence was sheltering. Reporters in the building on January 6th noted that Pence was quickly pulled off the Senate floor to a secure room, but the new video showed him being evacuated briskly by security down a back hallway, with a graphic from Plaskett denoting how close the rioters were. She emphasized they were hunting for Pence to execute him because he was viewed as a traitor after he declined to bend to Trump's demands to overturn the election results. Okay, that's all well and good. But none of these people are on trial right now for this one. Some of them aren't going to be on trial the next few weeks. I know because I know one of them. But none of these people are currently on trial right now. So right now you are trying to hang one man who is your political enemy for the crimes of a few hundred people. And I don't see that going over very well. Let's watch the video that they put off of here and just the caption on this. I was pissed about this. We'll watch the video and I'll talk just a bit about what's going on here. Public Citizen tweets out, "Blue Lives Matter only meant Black Lives don't," because, of course, why not bring that one right back around into it? Let's see what they've got to say.
Radio communications from the Metropolitan Police Department highlight how during and following President Trump's speech, Trump supporters descended on the Capitol and became increasingly violent. What you are about to hear has not been made public before.
Multiple capital entries! Multiple capital entries!
1318.
A 12 to 50, we're coming around from the south side.
Be advised the speech ended.
Intel 1, be advised, you got a group of about 50 charging up the hill on the west front, just north of the stairs. They're approaching the wall now.
They're starting to dismantle their reviewing stands and throwing metal poles at us. Cruiser 50, give me DSO up here now! DSO! Multiple law enforcement entries! DSO, get up here! Alright, we're 30 seconds out. Yeah, we need some reinforcements up here now. They're starting to pull the gates down. They're throwing metal poles at us. Cruiser 50, DSO, get up here! Okay, we're here. 12 to 50, we're here. Oh, we just had an explosion go on up here. I know there's fireworks. There was, but they're starting to explode explosives. Fireworks material.
All right, and yes, this is very, very selectively edited too with this. Now, I don't condone what the rioters did because, you know, it was violent. We are supposed to have the ability to peacefully redress our grievances. Now, once peace runs out, yes, you do have to do that. But there were still avenues where they could peacefully redress their grievances. However, it's just this thing with the cops, just that pisses me off to no end. Because, like, I'm no friend to the law, the excessive laws that are coming out of the government. But I do have to have sympathy for the police because they are a political pawn, especially on the left. Sometimes to the right of the aisle, but especially to the left of the aisle. They are nothing but a pawn based on who the victim is at the time. I remember, and once again, I'm going to walk right back to Act 10 in Wisconsin, back in 2010. I'm going to go back to that because that was a point where police were these poor, innocent union workers who were going to be affected by evil Scott Walker's elimination of collective bargaining. These poor union workers, they need to be defended from evil Scott Walker and evil, fascistic servants of Scott Walker trying to protect the Capitol. These fascists, these evil, mindless, soulless automatons. In the same week is what the police officers were. These people don't give a fuck about police officers. They're all about just scoring points. These same people who are coming in and saying, well, you have to think about the police officers and the blue line and everything. We're saying that all cops were bastards and throwing the same fucking fireworks at police officers just 6 months before. But now it's politically convenient. So now they're going to come out and they're going to be friends of the police. And no, that shit doesn't fucking fly. I know that the left's memory doesn't go back far beyond political convenience, but everybody else's memory does. I looked and saw my hometown, Kenosha, Wisconsin, the downtown district, past the train tracks, get burned to a fucking crisp. Because all cops were apparently bastards. And now these people are suddenly the best friends of the police again. It's not that they don't want the cops, it's what they want their cops in place. And we'll talk just a bit about that with the military a little bit later on too. They don't want just anybody out there enforcing the law. They want their people enforcing the law. So no, fuck you for you who's going to come up and try to use this in your favor. No, you don't get to do that. Let's see what the Hill has to say before I get really mad. Impeachment trial descends into chaos over Lee objection from Jordan Carney. The second day of former President Trump's impeachment trial ended in chaos after an effort by Senator Mike Lee to remove remarks by the House impeachment managers from the official record sparked widespread confusion. After the House managers announced they were wrapping up for the day, Lee stood at his desk on the Senate floor and asked to strike comments made by House lawmakers that related to him. Statements were attributed to me moments ago by the House impeachment managers. Statements relating to the content of conversations between a phone call involving President Trump and Senator Tuberville were not made by me. They're not accurate, and they're contrary to fact. I move pursuant to Rule 16 that they be stricken from the record. Lee appeared to be referencing statements made by Representative David Cicilline of Rhode Island, who, while giving part of the House manager's presentation, said former President Trump tried to call Senator Tuberville on January 6th and instead called Lee. Lee previously told the Deseret News in an article published January 7th that Trump called him on January 6th, thinking he was calling Tuberville. Lee, according to the article, also said he stood by while they were speaking so that he didn't lose his phone. Senator Lee described it. He just ended a prayer with his colleagues here in the Senate chamber, and the phone rang. It was Donald Trump. Senator Lee explains that the phone call goes something like this. "Hey, Tommy," Trump asked Senator Lee. "This isn't Tommy." He hands the phone to Senator Tuberville, Cicilline said. Senator Lee then confirmed that he stood by as Senator Tuberville and President Trump spoke on the phone, and on that call, Donald Trump reportedly asked Senator Tuberville to make additional objections to the certification process. He continued. Even before he stood up to make the motion, Lee appeared visibly angry by the remarks. He was spotted at his desk ripping up a sheet of paper from a legal pad and writing, "This is not what happened." He handed the paper to David Shane, one of Trump's lawyers. Patrick Leahy, who was presiding over the trial, appeared to disagree with Lee's request once he made the objection based on information he got from the Senate staff. The kerfuffle quickly sparked widespread confusion, with senators trying to figure out what Lee was saying and wasn't accurate and what Lee was forcing a vote on. The situation was complicated by Leahy's mic appearing to be faulty at times. You know, they take in billions of dollars from us every year in taxes. and spend it on stupid, stupid shit. And yet they can't get a decent audio video production. There are glitches every time. Every single time they do something on the House floor or the Senate floor. Remember the Coney Barrett hearings, where like everybody's mic was failing at the one point on the billions of dollars that they turn over. They can't spend $20 and get a knee-wear microphone and phantom power to go with it. This whole setup here that you're seeing in front of you, plus the phantom power, which you can't see on the camera, was like $50. And it works actually fairly well. I've had almost no problem with any of it. And as far as this, I have yet to see the case be made for this, to be completely honest. Once again, and that's the reason that I titled this the way that I did. Because this doesn't appear to be a trial of any sort. This, from everything that I've seen, heard, read, and witnessed, because I've been watching the entire thing, all I see is the pillory. They want to drag a person out in front of the rest of the town square so people can throw tomatoes at him. That's all that I'm seeing so far. But apparently they have a case, and apparently they're going to make it. And it's going to be a slam dunk, and they're going to convince 67 senators to come back and say, crucify him, crucify... Whoops, wrong story. Impeach him, impeach him. And as I said yesterday, and I was saying on Twitter yesterday as well, I don't think that they have the goods. I look at this, I watch what's happening with this, and I see a body, a congressional body, full of congressional enemies of one person who can't get something to stick in front of a grand jury under the normal private citizen way of doing legal justice. So they have to drag him out in front of a body that they control. That's all that I'm seeing here. Because they can't control the grand jury, but they can control the Senate. And they can make this go on for as long and as short as they want to. I would not be surprised if coming up at the very end of this, just like with Kavanaugh, at the 11:59 hour, if some surprise comes up, if we get another, I don't think it's going to be sexual assault. Because I think they've beaten that one to death. But knowing Democrats and all they think about sex, that's actually a distinct possibility. But I would not be surprised if they pull out a Christine Blasey Ford at the 11:59 hour. I would not be surprised to find out that they've got something sitting back there waiting like that. Because it's all a fucking floor show at this point. Alright, let's get out of the impeachment thing because, I mean, all it is showing hypocrisy anymore at this point. And, I mean, if the left didn't have double standards in this country, they wouldn't have any standards at all. I got a back-to-back pair from the Daily Wire, which I try not to do any back-to-back pair, but surprise, surprise. This looks bad for Democrats, so nobody else is reporting on these two stories. And these both have to do with the stimulus. So, first from the Daily Wire, Democrats block amendment to ban illegals from getting taxpayer-funded COBRA benefits in stimulus. From Ryan Saavedra. House Democrats on the Education and Labor Committee blocked two budget amendments late on Tuesday night that would have banned illegal aliens from receiving taxpayer-funded COBRA benefits in Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Mr. Chairman, this package establishes an 85% premium reduction for individuals enrolled in COBRA, the continuation coverage, and reimburses employers for this cost for the payroll tax credit. Representative Russ Fulcher of Michigan said, "My amendment would ensure that taxpayer dollars or tax credits for COBRA coverage in this legislation only go to those with lawful immigration status. Mr. Chairman, America is a nation of laws, and regardless of the previous conversations, citizenship is the basis for those laws, and rightfully so. American law doesn't apply the same outside of our borders as it does within our borders," he continued, "and citizenship comes with privileges. It also comes with some costs. The privileges are services and protections that come with being a citizen. The costs are taxes. You heard some of the previous comments, and yes, non-citizens pay some taxes. Yes, they do. But not in the same frame as citizens do. When we provide privileges without requiring costs, we dilute the value of citizenship, and we discourage those who pay the bill. And by the way, we discourage those who we represent and who vote for us. And denied. And once again, Democrats, and I've said this right from the beginning, Democrats have no intention on legalizing any of these people. You can see that, given the fact that they're blocking any attempt to make sure that they're not able, that any attempt to keep them from getting benefits. They're not going to make them legal. Why do you think it's so important that they keep these people getting the benefits? Because they're not going to make them legal. They're absolutely not going to. Because they're slave labor. They can come back and work under the table for pennies on the dollar, not pay the income tax, and if they have to complain to somebody, they get deported. Big business, big corrupt Biden is not going to take away the slave labor class from his big business buddies. It's not going to happen. And this just demonstrates it right here. That's all that we're seeing from this. Oh, well, we're never going to legalize them, so let's make sure that they keep getting the benefits and they keep coming into our healthcare system and helping to collapse our healthcare system. All right, the next one from the Daily Wire. Democrats block amendment to ban stimulus funds from going to Chinese Communist Party-tied entities. From Ryan Saavedra. House Democrats blocked a budget amendment late on Tuesday night that would have banned stimulus funds from going to entities that are owned or controlled by Communist China. The amendment to ban money from the President Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package from going to entities tied to Communist China was introduced by Representative Elise Stefanik of New York and blocked by Democrats on the House Education and Labor Committee. This amendment would have prohibited academic institutions from funding if they have a partnership with any entity owned or controlled, directly or indirectly, by the government of the People's Republic of China or organized under the laws of the Chinese Communist Party, Stefanik said. Stefanik's amendment came after the Democrat, Joe Biden, reportedly canceled a plan put in place by the Trump administration that would have tracked the rising influence of the CCP in the U.S. education system. Around 500 K-12 schools and 65 colleges in the U.S. have partnerships with the Confucius Institute U.S. Center, a U.S.-based affiliate of the Beijing-based Confucius Institute headquarters. The institute, also known as Hanban, is affiliated with the Chinese Ministry of Education. The Daily Caller News Foundation reported many of Hanban's directors are members of the Chinese Communist Party or have close ties to the organization. And blocked. Because why do something that would be bad for China? All right, let's keep going. From Fox News. Dems on House Committee approve $15 minimum wage and stimulus package despite CBO warning 1.4 million jobs are at risk. I love that because, Representative Towelhead, Ilhan Omar, was coming out and, talking about, if we pass the $15 minimum wage, that will lift 900,000 people out of poverty. Right, and it'll put 1.4 million people back the fuck in. $900,000 people out, 1.4 million people back in. I'm not seeing a balance here, Representative Omar. Now, I'm not going to completely dog on the $15 an hour minimum wage. I don't think the federal government should be assigning a minimum wage by any means whatsoever. But I'm going to point out some statistics that go along with the minimum wage hike. Now, doubling it is a bit excessive. I would say, if it was me and I was sitting at a point where I need to be the guy that comes up with a compromise, I would say 9 to 10 if it was me, if I was the one doing this. Now, looking at this, though, I will point out the fact that we're looking at a housing market crisis right now. It's not here yet, but we're staring down the barrel of it. People have been out of work for almost a year. Some people have. Now, some of these people have come back out and tried to find jobs, but I mean, we are still shedding almost 1 million jobs a week. First-time unemployment claims, and people falling off the unemployment rolls too. We're getting to the point where people have been out of work for so long that they no longer qualify for unemployment. So we're staring down the barrel. It's like I said, the housing crisis is not here yet, but we're staring down the barrel of it. Now, with the increase in the minimum wage, yes, we're going to lose the 1.4 million jobs, but that is going to keep the housing market, the bottom from completely collapsing out of the housing market, I should say. It is going to prevent it because, those people who've been working to register at the local grocer, and I will point out as well, this only really applies in the middle of the country. Like in California, New York, with $15 an hour, you're still screwed and you're still in fucking poverty. But they have statewide $15 an hour minimum wages already because the cost of living is so goddamn high. You need to have that in order to survive. Now, changing this federally, looking down the barrel of the market falling out, these people who've been working a register at the local Taco Bell, when the house prices start to drop and people have to sell off because their houses are worthless anymore, they are going to go back out because, hey, suddenly they've got all kinds of money that they have no idea what to spend on. Before the inflation hits the regular products, they will look at this and say, hey, I can make a mortgage payment. Hey, I've got almost no other expenses here. I can make a mortgage payment, and it's probably better than renting. And so a lot of these people will go out and buy their first house, keeping the house prices semi-normal. They're still going to go down, don't get me wrong, but they're going to be semi-normal. And it's going to buoy them up as the market drops further and further. So this isn't just a giveaway to their progressive friends who voted for them. There is a method to this madness. I don't agree with it because the federal government shouldn't be the one that's doing this. But there is a methodology to the madness that they're putting out. It's not just free shit. And it is ultimately going to drag the recovery out further. But it's going to keep the bottom from completely dropping out of everything. It will prevent a Great Depression. We will go into another recession, but it will prevent a Great Depression. So there is a method to the madness. And then we'll have another 8 years of why the fuck can't we have recovery? So we'll see what happens with that. Did I read this? No, I didn't. Democrats on the House Committee on Education and Labor approved a $15 an hour federal minimum wage proposal included in President Biden's coronavirus relief package in the early hours of Wednesday morning. It's a wrap. $15 hashtag minimum wage passed the Education and Labor Committee after more than 13 hours of debate, committee member Representative Ilhan Omar wrote on Twitter around 4:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Increasing the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $15 by 2025 would cut employment by 1.4 million, but would lift roughly 900,000 Americans out of poverty, according to a study released Monday by the Congressional Budget Office. House Republicans voiced their displeasure with the committee's actions on Wednesday. Well, the House Republicans are just doing it because Democrats want it. That's the only reason they're pissed off about it. But like I said, it's not the best idea, but there is a method to the madness. Once again, Democrats are ignoring the vulnerable, hardworking Americans, choosing instead to favor left-wing special interests and those who support their radical agenda. Ranking member Representative Virginia Foxx said in a statement, forcing children to miss out on a high-quality in-person education while cherry-picking the schools that receive relief and championing a job-destroying $15 minimum wage nationally is hardly bold relief. Fox also blasted committee Democrats for voting down Republicans' common sense amendments, including an amendment to block funding for higher education institutions linked to the Chinese government. So, yeah, like I said, it's not the right way to do it, but I understand why. I understand what's going to happen from this, because we saw this back in 2008, 2009, when they did the last big hike. Because, once again, before the advanced prices hit, your gallon of milk, your McChicken, your Taco Bell burrito, before it hit all that stuff, these kids who were working the register started to see the housing prices come down and said, hey, I'm going to buy that house. And some of them made out, and they made bank off of it too. So you can't sit back here and say this was the worst thing in the world for them, and now they actually have an asset that's worth considerably more than what they had before. But, at what cost? You lost a bunch of really good jobs over this. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know if that's actually going to pass still, because this does require a filibuster-proof majority, and I don't think they can get enough Republicans on board to do it. But, of course, no. It's going to be, the Republicans are evil. They don't want you to get paid, don't you know? So this will be a battle we will definitely be seeing in the next 2 years. Let's keep going. From the Hill. Please allow ads on our site. Yeah, the Hill just started doing this new trick today. And I'm still not going to. Sanders confronts Tandon over past vicious attacks. From Niv Ellis. Neera Tandon, President Biden's nominee to direct the Office of Management and Budget, who once referred to Senator Bernie Sanders as crazy, faced him in a Senate confirmation hearing on Wednesday. Sanders, who is now the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, confronted Tandon on her past criticism in opening the hearing, calling her past attacks vicious. My language and my expressions on social media cause hurt to people, and I feel badly about that. Never apologize. And I really regret it, and I recognize that it's really important for me to demonstrate that I can work with others, she told Sanders. No, you were right the first time, Miss Tandon. Senator Sanders is fucking nuts. Tandon, who, if confirmed, would take on a central policy role in the White House, faced critiques from both sides of the aisle on her second day of confirmation hearings. Tandon had been a Senate aide and supporter of Hillary Clinton before heading... That should disqualify her right there. Before heading to the Center for American Progress think tank, and already faced scrutiny for vitriolic rhetoric against Republicans, particularly on Twitter. She apologized to some Republicans on Tuesday in her first confirmation hearing before the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. But she had also previously had tough words about Sanders, Clinton's 2016 Democratic presidential primary rival. Senator Lindsey Graham, the committee's ranking member, said those comments made her nomination a divisive one. Her scorn was not limited to Republicans, he said before reading one of Tandon's tweets. Russia did a lot more to help Bernie than DNC's random internal emails did to help Hillary. The point I'm trying to make here is that in a time of unity, we're picking somebody with sharp elbows, and there's going to be a consequence for that, hopefully on our side, he added. John Kennedy added his own colorful flourish on the questioning. You called Senator Sanders everything but an ignorant slut, he said. Well, I'm going to disqualify myself from any government position right now. Senator Bernie Sanders is an ignorant slut. There, now I've called him that, on the record. Sanders did not shy away from addressing the issue himself, noting a letter from Republicans on the House Budget Committee compiling a litany of complaints against Tandon. I think that most of us understand that we debate the issue to try to minimize the level of personal, vicious attacks. Since fucking when? That seem to be so prevalent all over the country today, Sanders said. Didn't one of your fans come out and shoot a bunch of Republicans at a baseball game? Because you said, and this is the reason that he gave, because you, Senator Sanders, said that Republicans' healthcare plan was for people to die. Personal vicious attacks. Fuck you. Of course, your attacks were not just made against Republicans. There were vicious attacks against progressives, people who I've worked with, me personally, he added, before asking Tandon to reflect on her past rhetoric.
Your attacks were not just made against Republicans. There were vicious attacks made against progressives, people who I have worked with, me personally. So as you come before this committee to assume a very important role in the United States government, at a time when we need serious work on serious issues and not personal attacks on anybody, whether they're on the left or the right. Can you reflect a little bit about some of your decisions and the personal statements that you have made in recent years?
Yes, Senator, I really appreciate that question, and I recognize that my language and my expressions on social media, caused hurt to people, and I feel badly about that.
Your attacks were not just made against Republicans, they were vicious attacks made against...
All right. Never apologize. Never apologize. And once again, the fact that she was an aide to Senator Clinton, that should disqualify her right there. And if I was on the Senate floor on this confirmation committee, I would say those words right there. Oh, you worked with Hillary Clinton? You were an aide for Hillary Clinton? Okay, Ms. Tandon, we're done here. Let's keep going. Speaking of Biden's cabinet, Julie Su, California's labor head, nominated by Biden for deputy role amid state's EDD scandal. From the Associated Press by KTLA5 out of Los Angeles. President Joe Biden nominated Julie Su, the head of California's labor agency, on Wednesday as the Deputy U.S. Secretary of Labor, potentially putting another Californian in a top administration job and focusing a brighter spotlight on the state's ongoing employment fraud scandal. If confirmed by the Senate, Su would be tasked with helping to lead a sprawling department that oversees laws that regulate worker standards and pay, workplace safety, workers' compensation, unions, family and medical leave, and more. She would work in partnership with Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, Biden's nominee for Labor Secretary, if he is confirmed. Su was tapped in 2019 by Governor Gavin Newsom to lead California Labor and Workforce Development Agency. It oversees everything from unemployment insurance to workforce development, as well as the Agricultural Labor Relations Board and the Public Employee Relations Board. Are you ready for labor in the U.S. to be run like it is in California? Because it's coming. Have a look. There we go. With a leader like Julie at the helm, a tireless fighter for working Americans, and a voice for the voiceless, the U.S. Department of Labor will play a central role in guiding us through recovery toward becoming a safer, more equitable, and more prosperous nation. Yep, everyone's going to be equally poor, Newsom said in a statement. But Su will likely face questions over the state's handling of the skyrocketing unemployment claims. During the pandemic, state officials estimate California has likely paid out $11 billion in fraudulent payments, including to prisoners. People who lost their jobs because of coronavirus-related business closures often waited weeks or even months for checks, and millions of people might have to backpay some of their benefits because state overpaid them. Yeah, that sounds like a great person who needs to be in charge of money. But bet me that she gets confirmed. And I bet you it's going to be by 51-50. Let's keep going. Biden announces sanctions on Myanmar coup leaders. President Biden on Wednesday announced sanctions on the military leaders who directed the coup in Myanmar. You ready to go to war, folks? Because we're going back to war. President Biden on Wednesday, and I read that one already, earlier this month, the administration labeled military takeover and detention of Aung San Suu Kyi a coup, triggering a freeze in certain U.S. assistance to the country and a review of some aid programs. Support for healthcare, civil society groups, and other aid that benefited the Burmese people directly will continue. I've approved a new executive order enabling us to immediately sanction the military leaders who directed the coup, their business interests, as well as close family members, Mr. Biden said on Wednesday. We will identify first round targets this week, and we're also going to impose strong export controls. We're freezing U.S. assets that benefit the Burmese government while maintaining support for healthcare, civil society groups, and other areas that benefit the people of Burma directly. And finally, as protests grow, violence against those asserting their democratic rights is unacceptable, and we're going to keep calling it out. The people of Burma are making their voices heard, and the world is watching. We'll be ready to impose additional measures, and we'll continue to work with our international partners to urge other nations to join us in these efforts, the president concluded. Well, That's something to definitely keep an eye on there, because with the saber rattling going on with Iran, the fact we're ramping up Afghanistan, and a president who's never met a military action that he doesn't like, prepare yourselves and your children, for most of you, for a Southeast Asia campaign. Because the U.S. is going to pick winners and losers in this battle. Let's keep going. From Reuters. New hate symbols on U.S. warships, including noose, spark Navy condemnation. From Bill Stewart. The U.S. Navy's top admiral on Tuesday condemned 2 new racist incidents involving hate symbols on warships, which sources said included a noose that was left on a black sailor's bed. The incidents, which occurred in recent weeks, underscored deep concerns about racism in the ranks. The cases come as Pentagon leaders face growing pressure to show progress in combating extremism after the current and former military service members were found to have participated in the siege of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. In one case being investigated by the Naval Criminal Investigation Service, NCIS, for those of you who enjoy CBS entertainment, hate speech graffiti was discovered in a bathroom aboard the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier. NCIS is also investigating the noose incident aboard a guided missile cruiser USS Lake Champlain. 2 officials who spoke on condition of anonymity confirmed the details. Hate speech on a bathroom wall on a military vessel. It's very clear that the people in the NCIS have never been in the Navy. You've got young, 18-year-old men on a ship for months at a time, full of testosterone and bored as fucking shit. And they're all being little fucking edgelords. As far as the noose goes, I want to see a picture of that just to see what that was, because, I mean, we saw what that shit was over the summer over this, but this goes along, and this whole thing goes along with a bigger purge, because the military now is looking into trying to root out extremists from the military ranks, and that's the thing. You know, it comes out with a 3%er tattoo, or, you know, a Gadsden flag somewhere, which if you have a Gadsden flag and you're joining the military, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, but you know, that's between you and the U.S. military. It is a good way to get your college paid for. I will admit to that. It is a good way to get your college paid for. But what we're seeing with this is, this actually makes me a little bit nervous, because we've got the military occupation of Washington, D.C., which is still ongoing. We talked about that yesterday. $487 million worth of military protection for Washington, D.C. And now the Joint Chiefs are coming out to try and root out extremism, to make sure that the military is, as far as I can tell, and I mean, this is just a speculation, I mean, this is trying to make sure that the military will be, what's the word I'm looking for? Subservient to the president, obedient to the president, not necessarily the Constitution. And it does kind of make me wonder, are they planning on turning the military against us at some point here? I don't like any of this. I don't like a word of this. But, yeah, if you think that bathroom wall graffiti on a naval ship is something to end the fucking Navy over, you have never been in the Navy. And you've never met a sailor either. So, we'll see what's happening with that. Let's keep going. From the Wall Street Journal. This was almost the thing that I hate today, except I found something even better. Double mask offers significantly better protection. CDC study finds. I don't need to read this. We all know what's going on with this. It's going to be the next crazy thing. You know what the next thing is going to be? If you jump up and down on one leg, you're going to be protected from the coronavirus. This whole thing has gone from 15 days to slow the spread, which we're on the 1-year anniversary of that, by the way. This whole thing has gone from 15 days to slow the spread to a devious fucking game of Simon Says. led by one Dr. Anthony Fauci. I work with a guy who wears double masks too, by the way. I noticed that yesterday. No, Tuesday I noticed that. And I almost burst out laughing right then and there. All right, from the New York Times, a former newspaper. The vaccine had to be used. He used it. He was fired. From Dan Barry. The Texas doctor had 6 hours. Now that the vial of COVID-19 vaccine had been opened on this late December night, he had to find 10 eligible people for its remaining doses before the precious medicine expired in 6 hours. Scrambling, the doctor made house calls and directed people to his home outside Houston. Some were acquaintances, others strangers, a bedbound nonagenarian, a 90-year-old woman, apparently, a woman in her 80s, with dementia, a mother with a child who uses a ventilator. After midnight, and with just minutes before the vaccine became unusable, the doctor, Hassan Gokul, gave the last dose to his wife, who has a pulmonary disease that leaves her short of breath. For his actions, Dr. Gokul was fired from his government job and then charged with stealing 10 vaccine doses worth a total of $135, a shun-worthy misdemeanor that sent his name and his mugshot rocketing around the globe. It was my world coming down, Dr. Gokul said in a telephone interview on Friday, to have everything collapse on you. God, it was just the lowest moment in my life. The matter Dr. Gokul is playing out as a pandemic where Americans scour websites across state lines, chasing rumors, all in anxious pursuit of a medicine in short supply. The case opens wide to interpretation, becoming a study in the learn-as-you-go bioethics of the country's stumbling vaccine rollout. So here is the reality of this. This doctor came out, he had a vial of vaccine, 10 doses, it had been opened, it was going to go bad in 6 hours. In a country where everyone's demanding that everybody be vaccinated as quickly as possible. So instead of throwing away the vial, which apparently is what they said that he should have done, he went out and he gave 10 doses to people who wanted 10 doses, including his wife. Instead of throwing it the fuck away, and he's getting charged for that. This is actually happening in our government, people. This is actually what's going on. All right, let's keep going here from Newsweek. Rush Limbaugh misses another show amid battle with lung cancer. Producers ask for prayers from Alia Slisko. Rush Limbaugh's producer asked fans for their prayers on Wednesday while the conservative talk radio host was forced to miss another show due to his ongoing battle with lung cancer. Well, I can't really believe he's made it as long as he has, but good on him. Producer James Golden, who works under the pseudonym Bo Snerdley, took to Twitter to announce that the frequent guest host Ken Matthews would be filling in for Limbaugh, whose illness has forced him off the air for more than a week. Our prayers are with Rush. As he continues to fight the illness he has been afflicted with, Golden tweeted, "We're still praying for a remission. Today, Ken Matthews will fill in for Rush. Thanks for all your prayers, kind words, and wishes for our Rush. God bless you." Matthews echoed the news on Twitter a short time later while sharing a picture of himself with Limbaugh. A late change of plans meant that Brett Winterble ended up serving as the guest host instead. Limbaugh was diagnosed with advanced lung cancer on January 2020. One day after Limbaugh publicly announced his diagnosis, in early February, President Donald Trump presented him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom during his final State of the Union address. And, as always, F's in the chat for Rush. I don't agree with him, I don't agree with his program, I don't agree with his views, but, as I've always said, he made it okay for those of us, like myself, like Stephen Ignoramus, like the Generational Gap, like Mr. Behavior, like the R-rated conservative, like Matt Christensen. He made it okay for those of us to sit behind a golden microphone and tell you a news story that's different than what the mainstreams want to tell you. I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he is the leader of this movement. Make no mistake about that. He was one of the first. He was one of the pioneers, and a lot of us owe our success to him. So, F's in the chat for Limbaugh. Let's keep going. Dave Rubin tweets out, Disney has canceled Gina Carano. I'm canceling my Disney Plus. We need to stop giving these people our money, and we must build new franchises. Gina, if you want to come on the show to discuss anything, let me know. All right. This goes along with this story from The Hollywood Reporter. The Mandalorian star Gina Carano fired amid social media controversy. From Ryan Parker and Aaron Couch. Gina Carano will not be returning to The Mandalorian or the Star Wars galaxy after sharing a post on social media implying that being a Republican today is like being Jewish during the Holocaust. Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilms, and there are no plans for her to be in the future, a Lucasfilm spokesperson said in a statement. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Carano has also been dropped as a client by UTA, an agency spokesperson confirms. On Wednesday, the hashtag #FireGinaCarano was trending, following an Instagram post from the outspoken conservative actor and former MMA artist, who was met with severe backlash. The post has since been deleted, but screenshots were widely shared by users on social media who called for her firing from the hit Disney Plus show Star Wars The Mandalorian. This is not the first time Carano, who played the former Rebel Alliance soldier Cara Dune on The Mandalorian, has been the focus of social media ire for her political comments. Last November, she issued contentious tweets, one of which she mocked mask wearing amid the novel coronavirus pandemic, and another in which she falsely suggested voter fraud occurred during the 2020 presidential election. Yeah, you can pretty well see where this is going here. I don't know if I would have gone along. I don't know if I would have tweeted out the Holocaust reference just based on the way that the world goes and the way that the world views the things, but, you know, where's the lie is the other question I have to say about that. But you know, as soon as somebody puts something else out like that, that's going to be everybody's go-to and everybody's panic-stricken nightmare of trying to clean up after this. So, I'm very sorry that she lost her job, but yeah, I don't know if I would have gone that direction with that if it was me. All right, from NBC. I might have to reload this a couple times. Just because of the ad blocker thing. NBA says all teams must play national anthem after Dallas Mavericks stop playing it. If you people wonder why I don't do sports anymore, it's because of stuff like this. And we're not going to do that because of the ad blocker. So we'll get into that. But we'll see what the White House has to say about this. White House says Mavericks national anthem ban recognizes U.S. failings, from Ebony Bowden. The Biden administration on Tuesday appeared to support Dallas Mavericks' decision to nix the national anthem at games, telling reporters that national pride includes knowing that Americans haven't lived up to our highest ideals. Well, once again, given what I see out of the progressive movement, where's the lie? We are supposed to be a nation built on the ideals of the God-given rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And instead, we become a nation that is guided by the ideals of give me my free stuff and silence the people that I don't like. So I know it's not the message that Jen Psaki wants to put out, but once again, where's the lie? Show me the lie in that statement. Americans haven't lived up to our highest ideals. But I have a feeling that my opinion of America's highest ideals and Jen Psaki's are two different things. At a White House press conference, spokeswoman Jen Psaki was asked what President Biden thought of the Mavericks owner Mark Cuban's decision to no longer play the Star-Spangled Banner following an athlete-led kneeling protest over systemic racism. Well, I haven't spoken with the president about the decision by Mark Cuban or the Dallas Mavericks, Psaki said, but I know he's incredibly proud to be an American. And has great respect for the anthem and all that it represents, especially our men and women serving in uniform around the world. Biden's top spokeswoman then appeared to endorse the decision and said athletes choosing to kneel during the anthem were calling out the nation's failings. He'd also say that, of course, the part of the pride of the country means recognizing moments where we as a country haven't lived up to our highest ideals, which is often and at times when people are speaking to when they take actions at sporting events, she went on. And it means respecting the rights of people granted to them by the Constitution to peacefully protest. That's why he ran for president in the first place, and that's what he's focused on doing every day. Look, I don't give a fuck whether you kneel for the national anthem, whether you jump up and down, whether you hold your hand over your heart, or whether you hold both of your hands onto your shoulder pads. I don't care. I really don't. The adherence that people give to the Star-Spangled Banner is almost of a religious sort. It almost is. And with that, I mean, you shall have no idols above God, first and foremost. That's the first commandment. And a lot of these people look at the American flag and the national anthem as such. I just don't want to see a political statement while I'm watching sports. I don't care about the anthem. I don't. Just let me watch overpaid people throw a ball around and get the social justice bullshit out of it. And if they want to do it off the field, then that's on them. I don't care. I don't care if they want to make their protest off the field. You know why? Because I'm not paying them to watch their social justice thing, and I'm not going to go back and watch it. With my views, I am paying, and with a subscription to NFL Mobile, which I had with my Verizon, that automatically comes with Verizon, but with a subscription to NFL Mobile and watching their commercials, I am paying them to watch them throw a ball around. Not anymore, obviously, because all I get is a fucking political statement, but with those subscriptions, all I'm doing, I'm actually paying them to watch the entertainment, not the social justice message. So, no, this is exactly why. I don't give a fuck about sports anymore, that I don't watch. I didn't watch the Super Bowl for the first time in 34 years this year. And I'm 36 years old, just to give you an idea how long I've been watching this. In 34 years, I've watched every Super Bowl. And I didn't do it this year. Because it was going to be nothing but social justice messaging, the kneeling, some sort of cram down your politics down my throat, this, that, and the next thing. I just want to see overpaid people throw a ball around. That's it. But this is going to be a thing for the rest of time. From the Hill. This is going to get annoying. Iowa Republicans seek to cut funding for schools with the 1619 Project in curriculum. From Eris Folly. Republican state representatives in Iowa on Tuesday advanced legislation that seeks to mandate funding and budget cuts for schools that includes the New York Times and 1619 Project in their history curriculum. According to the Gazette, the bill advanced from a 3-member subcommittee on Tuesday after approval from State Rep. Henry Stone and State Rep. Skylar Wheeler, who filed the measure. As a result, the paper reports that the State House's Education Committee can now take up the bill for consideration. If passed, the bill states the schools would be punished for utilizing any U.S. history curriculum that, in whole or part, is derived from the project by the New York Times, known as the 1619 Project, or any similarly developed curriculum. Should a school violate the rule, the bill goes on to state that the school district's budgets would be reduced by 1/180th for each day of the previous budget year for which the school district used school curriculum in violation of the section. So they'll basically dock the schools a day of the school's pay. Wheeler outlined similar reductions for state aid payments for schools that violate the rule in this bill, as well as reductions for community colleges and Regents institutions. The bill accused the Times Project of attempting to deny or obfuscate the fundamental principles upon which the U.S. was founded and stressed that the General Assembly has a strong interest in promoting an accurate account of this nation's history through public schools and forming young people into knowledge and patriotic citizens. This is another thing that just kind of pisses me off here, because, of course, Trump had to come out with the 1776 report. Now, you actually should be going back and learning about the 1619 Project. Not necessarily the way that Nicole Hannah-Jones has it written, of course, because that is, for the most part, propagandist. But yes, you should understand the effect that slavery had on this country and when this all came forward. But this country was not founded in 1619. It was founded in 1776 when a group of libertarians, mostly red-haired libertarians, ironically enough, sent a letter back to King George, back over in a boat, going over to England, that said, more or less, this. That's the founding of this country. Now, to go back and learn about the faults of this country. Yes, absolutely. And people should have the right to explore that and have that presented to them and make their own decisions. I always say, find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. To suppress one side or the other is just trying to push your narrative. Like, that's the same thing that goes along. People talk about the Holocaust all the time, and that was mainline academic education was the Holocaust, and we spent months talking about this throughout school. Like, we spend entire weeks on the chapter, sometimes 2-3 weeks, talking about the Holocaust. I didn't know about the Holodomor until like 3 years ago, because that's not politically expedient right now, especially in a communist-style progressive movement. But we should have learned about the Holodomor. Yes, we should have learned about the 1619 introduction of slaves coming into this country. Not the 1619 Project itself, but some of the lesson materials in the 1619 Project we should have learned, and we didn't. So yes, the students should have access to all the facts and figure out what's going on with that from themselves. But that doesn't seem to be the case. All right, let's keep going. I've got just one more here, and then we will do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate, and we'll be done. It was a quiet day today, you guys. I don't know if anybody's lurking because for whatever reason my counter is showing almost nobody. But it's been a quiet day. Let's do one more here, then we'll do a thing I like, thing I hate. Get out of here. Everybody will get back to work. And if you guys are lurking right now, and like I said, I have no idea how many people are there, get one last message in there, because tomorrow I get the notebook out and I read the names of everybody who chatted in the live chat. So we can give a special thank you to everybody. I love thanking you guys, and I love the fact that you guys come and hang out with me every morning. Twitter says Trump is banned forever from tweeting, even if he runs for president again. Our policies don't allow people to come back, from Carlos Garcia. The chief financial officer of the popular social media platform Twitter said that former President Trump is permanently banned from their service, even if he runs for president again. That's okay. People will go somewhere else. And he's building his own social media platform, and his religious fanatics will go there, and the news religious fanatics will go there because they need to be the first one to get on there and comment, "That was racist, Mr. President." Ned Segal made the comments on Squawk Box on CNBC on Wednesday while defending the company's profitability post-Trump. So the way our policies work, when you are removed from the platform, you are removed from the platform, whether you're a commentator, you're a CFO, or you're a former or current public official, said Segal. No, I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court said you weren't allowed to do that, but you guys don't give a fuck anyway. So remember, our policies are designed to make sure that people are not inciting violence. And if anybody does that, we have to remove them from the service, and our policies don't allow people to come back, he added. Twitter has faced criticism for banning the former president days after the rioting at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. While some have accused them of a politically motivated abrogation of Trump's free speech, the company said the situation at the Capitol forced them to take action. No, they were already going to take action. That just gave them the excuse. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey argued on Tuesday that Twitter's bottom line would not be damaged after banning one of the most consequential and influential voices on social media. We're a platform that is obviously much larger than any one topic, or any one account, said Dorsey during the company's earnings call. Dorsey said that 80% of the users on the platform are located outside of the U.S. You don't call that a problem as a U.S.-based company? We have a global service. We're not just dependent upon the news and politics being what drives Twitter, Dorsey added. Well, no, it was a way for you to celebrity stalk your favorite celebrity. Was what it was designed for. It just, they happened to come onto a point where Donald Trump was everybody's favorite celebrity. Twitter's rationale for banning Trump permanently is almost identical to the claim made in the article of impeachment passed by the House. Democrats that he incited the insurrection? I still can't believe they're still trying to call that an insurrection. But I also draw argument with the fact that the people behind the Star Trek universe called Star Trek IX insurrection, because I didn't see an insurrection there either. But, you know, they'll throw that word around like racist and Nazi and stuff like that, and all of a sudden it's going to lose all of its meaning once again. So he is permanently gone, even if he runs for president again. I don't think he's going to. I really don't. Yes, you can love your country, but for Trump to run again in 2024, that is beyond love of country. That is beyond patriotism. That is straight up sadomasochism if he runs again. That is flat up masochism. His kids' lives are ruined. His fortune is ruined. His life is ruined. He might go to jail yet over something that didn't even exist, that didn't even happen. His property value is tanking. Nobody wants to stay in his hotels anymore. Like I said, I understand the guy wants to go with Triple Crown and get reelected because he's a narcissist, but still, that is beyond narcissism. That is straight up sadomasochism if he does that. But, you know what? It's his money. He can do what he wants to do. All right, we're going to do a thing I like and a thing that I hate and head on out of here. From Fox Business. Thing I like today, New York Stock Exchange chief warns it may leave New York if stock transfer tax is imposed. So New York is taxing so hard that even the New York Stock Exchange wants to leave. And good on them. Good on a business that is so integral to people moving to New York in the first place, coming in and saying, do what we want or we're the fuck out of here. We need more businesses like that. Even if we don't like the New York Stock Exchange, which I don't, we need more big businesses like that to come up and look at the government and say, you play ball with us because you work for us, fuckstick, not the other way around. This comes to Fox Business via Reuters. The New York Stock Exchange may leave New York State if Albany imposes a transfer tax on stock sales, the president of the Intercontinental Exchange Incorporated owned exchange operator said on Tuesday in an op-ed on the Wall Street Journal. New York Stock Exchange President Stacey Cunningham said that she and 25 other representatives of New York's securities industry sent a letter last Wednesday to state legislative leaders warning against the unintended consequences of imposing such a tax, which would ultimately be borne by investors. The New York Stock Exchange belongs to New York. If Albany lawmakers get their way, however, the center of global financial industry may need to find a new home, she said. And I mean, with high-speed internet, with all the other advantages that we have at this point, it's just like when we started to see remote commuting, remote working, people working from home, and then people starting to go out into the suburbs and beyond. You no longer need to be in New York City to work at some of these big financial institutions anymore. You can do it from Wyoming. Could you see that? Could you just imagine that right now? The Wyoming Stock Exchange. Think about that for a second. Build up some of the stuff into flyover country. See some of these people actually getting money coming into their state and subsidies for the farms that are supporting this country because a lot of the money is there. Could you see some of that? Now, of course, if you do that, Wyoming's going to turn bluer than fucking blue. But just the thought of that, to see some of the stuff start to shift around and move around. And now a major stock exchange now coming in, threatening and shaking their fist at the New York government too. We need to see more of that. We need to see more of these big businesses that say, well, I've got to be on the coast for this reason or that reason. I've got to be in the city for this reason or that reason. Say, you know what? You're going to keep taxing me and fuck yourself, I'm out. You're going to keep abusing my workers with taxes because, and the exchange says, this is going to be borne by the investors, not by us. You're going to punish the people who depend on my company, my exchange. I'm out. We're done. We're not doing this anymore. We need to see more of this. Because these governments think they can just do whatever the hell they want and get away with it. So good on them. I like this. I like this a lot. And now a thing that I hate. And this is coming from the BBC. But it's about a U.S. firm. U.S. Airlines set to buy flying electric taxis for airport runs. BBC does not give an author. The U.S. airline is United Airlines, by the way, plans to buy 200 flying electric taxis that it hopes will fly passengers to the airport within the next 5 years. The U.S. airline is one of the first major carriers to commit to the purchase of flying taxis. United Airlines will also invest in a flying taxi firm, Archer, as part of a $1.1 billion, that's 800 million pounds, by the way, to develop the aircraft. The aircraft need regulatory approval before the purchase can go ahead. United Airlines will team up with U.S. regional carrier Mesa Airlines to buy Archer's electric vehicle vertical takeoff and landing aircraft as part of a $1 billion order. Now, this is new technology. This is going to create a lot of jobs because these flying taxis are going to need to be manufactured. Under any other time in the world, this would be the thing that I like. But United Airlines has been taking taxpayer money hand over fist from the government for the last year. They have suddenly $1 billion laying around to come back and do this. And this is United Airlines. This isn't American Airlines, where we saw they were one of those that was getting buoyed up by the short sale stock. This is United Airlines that was actually getting billions of dollars in taxpayer funds as part of their bailout under the commie coup. They are spending your money, your taxpayer money, to come back and do this. This is great technology. I love the idea. Under any other week, this would have been the thing that I like. But this is fucking disgusting, what they're doing. At a point where they're basically living, this is a government subsidy that's doing this. No, this is bad, this is wrong. I love the innovation and the idea, I really do. But, the fact that they're doing this on the taxpayer dime, at a point where they're at their slowest. If they could just reach into their pocket and pull out the cash and do this, I would be so okay with this under any other circumstance. But not this one. You just paid $1 billion for United Airlines to make a flying taxi when they couldn't make ends meet otherwise. Aren't you proud? Aren't you proud? All right, that is enough of that there. So, we will be back here tomorrow for more contemporary. We're also going to sit down tomorrow and talk about some more impeachment stuff for sure, because there's going to be more of that going on. I know that people are already sitting back, braced to watch the proceedings come back for more and more and more. They're looking forward to more of this here, so we're going to see some more of the fireworks and some more of the stupid shit that they try to push in while you're not looking and while you're looking at the impeachment. So look forward to that. The government loves to do the sleight of hand and just kind of slide stuff in while you're not looking, while you're looking at other stuff. So definitely look forward to more of that here. We'll see what's happening with that tomorrow. Plus, tomorrow is Friday, So we will read the names of everybody who chats in the live chat as well. So looking forward to that as well. And always looking forward to giving you guys a very special thank you because you guys make my morning what it is. I know I don't interact with the chat much during the morning show, but definitely do go back and look through it. I read through it all day, every day. So I'm always happy to see you guys here, and you guys need a special thank you. And once again, while this is a small show, I want to keep doing this every week because there's, hopefully, if you guys keep telling a friend and telling 10 friends about this show, there will come a day at some point where I can't do this every day, where I cannot come in and interact with you guys just because there's going to be a massive volume of it. So I want to give you guys thanks while I can. But looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with the special thanks and all the other fun stuff that comes from that. Until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.